Hi everyone! Let's see how your watercolor painting would change depending on whether you make it with pan watercolors or watercolor pencils. I've been doing a bit of a series of making the same painting or two paintings of similar topics or similar colors using different mediums or art supplies. I've done acrylic and oil painting on primed and unprimed surfaces, comparing tube and pan watercolors, kids watercolors and student grade watercolors, and today I'm painting a similar image of two lovebirds using pan watercolors and watercolor pencils. I started both paintings out the same way by sketching the birds with watercolor pencils on watercolor paper. I used the watercolor pad I got sent by Home Hobby by 3L a couple of years ago, and it's about to run out, and I think the only other watercolor pad I still have is A3 size, which is bigger than my usual paintings, so I'll either need to buy more or start cutting those up into smaller pieces. For the pan watercolor painting, I used the same United Office watercolors from Lidl, from the video where I compared those cheap Lidl watercolors to Cotman watercolors, because, spoiler alert, I did like them. Now for the watercolor pencil version, I of course continued with the pencils, again from Home Hobby by 3L, even after sketching. So when you sketch for a watercolor painting with watercolor pencils, the benefit of them is that since they dissolve in water, the sketch will blend into the painting and you're not getting unwanted sketch lines in the final artwork. But if you're making the whole thing with watercolor pencils, you'll have to color in everything with them. This is not how I would normally use them, but let's see what happens. Sorry for the changing light situation, by the way. I was painting these outside last summer, cause that's how late I am with getting these new videos edited. Anyway, I tried to block out the direct sunlight with towels on the clothesline, cause I was painting on the balcony, but the sun kept peeking out and changing the lighting. I was again painting from reference photos I took on a trip to Madeira like 9 years ago, so it's the same lovebird couple in both photos. They're in the bird park in the botanical gardens. I changed the background to something more green and flowery and placed the birds on a swing. The pan watercolor one is more of a daylight painting, and the watercolor pencil one I decided to turn into a bluish nighttime version. So one of the things I like to do to keep myself entertained while painting is listening to audiobooks. A book series I've loved over the last few years and that you can also find on Audible as audiobooks is Ruth Ware's books. They're basically like modern day Agatha Christie books with some closed space murder mysteries like A Cabin in the Woods or A Cruise Ship. I think she has 6 books out now and I've read 5 of them, so I'm excited to read or listen to the new one that's set in a ski lodge during a blizzard. If you don't use Audible yet, you can start a free trial through the link below and get 2 audiobooks for free, which you get to keep even if you cancel the subscription before paying anything. It's an affiliate link, so it's a way of supporting this channel for free while getting yourself 2 free audiobooks at the same time. So, what did I think of making a whole painting with watercolor pencils? Definitely hard to get any saturation with them. I had to keep layering and there was still no way to reach the same saturation as with the pan watercolors, which makes sense, especially the way I used them. I would let each layer dry and then draw on the dry surface and blend with a wet brush. If you want to draw saturated lines with them, you can first dip the pen into water. The watercolor pencils definitely created more of a softer look and it took forever. In hindsight, I should have tried that wet watercolor pencil technique for the dark details on the face and the dark leaves. I fixed up both paintings a bit after filming, the proportions and the peaks especially. I wish I'd spent a little more time on the sketching to get the proportions right from the get-go. I was sketching directly onto the watercolor paper with watercolor pencils to make the process faster, but I think these paintings would have benefited from making a sketch on a separate piece of paper where I could erase and redraw as much as I want without damaging the actual watercolor paper, and then transferring it over to the watercolor paper. All my parrot paintings are available in my Redbubble shop, and if you want more tape peeling, you'll find it on my ASMR channel. Thanks for watching, bye!